Hello viewers, I'm your host Pratiksha Mishra with another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show. India's electronics market is rapidly expanding, driven by rising demand, Make in India initiatives and increased foreign investments. The country is focused on developing an indigenous semiconductor ecosystem with initiatives like the National Electronics Policy and a $10 billion PLI scheme boosting chip-making efforts.
India's semiconductor and electronics sector is experiencing significant growth fueled by government policies aimed at enhancing domestic manufacturing and reducing imports. The semiconductor market, valued at $19 billion in 2023, is projected to reach $30 billion by 2025, marking a 58% increase. At Semicon India 2024, Prime Minister Narendra Modi reaffirmed the country's commitment to expanding its semiconductor infrastructure, highlighting that India contributes 20% of the world's talent in the industry. He outlined plans to develop a workforce of 85,000 skilled professionals, including technicians, engineers, and R&D experts in the coming years. The event attracted over 100 global CEOs, industry leaders, and experts, underscoring India's rising prominence in the global chip sector.
21st century के भारत में the chips are never down. और सिर्फ इतना ही नहीं है, आज का भारत दुनिया को भरोसा देता है, when the chips are down, you can bet on India.
The government's focus on expanding the semiconductor industry is set to invigorate related sectors and significantly increase job opportunities. This push will enhance the semiconductor ecosystem and stimulate growth in allied industries, creating a broader impact on employment and economic development.
We can see lots of potential because, and not in terms of manufacturing, the real employment will generate from the UP, so that all the candidates, all the youth who are pursuing their BTech or a masters in the science, they can come and see the real, how the chip process is going to make.
It's mainly the global shortage of the semicon chips. So there are not enough manufacturers, there are not enough companies worldwide. So India has a big opportunity in that space.
Manufacturing is already happening with the mobile phones and multiple other areas. It's a question of giving the fillip, giving the right environment for the industry, for MSMEs as well, giving the right climate, both infrastructure, investment, government support, ease of doing business, and all that contributes to building the sector.
Many foreign companies are optimistic about India's growing market and have established facilities for domestic production.
We have been supplying goods into India now for over 20 years, and as the market has grown, we decided it was time to invest in India, and that is what we did in 2016 by buying this aerosol filling company, and we are continue to invest. The market has grown in the last 8 years.
India is aiming to grow its electronics sector to $500 billion and create 6 million jobs by the end of the decade. Valued at $150 billion, the sector has progressed significantly, especially in mobile phone manufacturing, including 5G handsets. Transitioning from a major importer, India is now the world's second largest producer and exporter, with a goal of achieving 100% domestic electronic manufacturing, including chips.
Moving on. In the lead-up to Sri Lanka's presidential election, the absence of female candidates underscores a troubling gender gap in politics. Women activists in the country emphasize the patriarchal nature of the political landscape, where decision-making and resources remain largely male-dominated. A report. In her close-knit, middle-class community nestled in the heart of Sri Lanka's capital, grassroots activist Samudra Jayalath leads a team of volunteers to distribute campaign leaflets for the upcoming presidential election. But the 61-year-old local political leader, a beloved member of the community, is not running for the top job. Instead, she is tapping on her clout to campaign for her presidential candidate of choice, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa. As Sri Lanka grapples with its most severe financial crisis in over 70 years, 17.1 million citizens are set to cast their ballots on September 21st in a crucial presidential election, seeking a new leader to steer the nation towards political stability and economic revival over the next 5 years. In a striking omission, the field of 38 candidates lacks a single female representative, highlighting a concerning gender gap in the country's political landscape. Jayalath had once hoped her political career would take off after she won a municipal election in 2012. But she has not held any political post at national level despite working for multiple parties for nearly 4 decades.
දැන් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ගත්තාම ගරු මන්ත්‍රීවරියෝ ගත්තාම ඒයට දේශපාලන පසුබිමක් තියෙනවා. නමුත් එහෙම නැතුව දැන් අපි වගේ මේ බිම් මට්ටමින් එන කාන්තාවන්ට එතනට යන්න හරි අමාරුයි. එතනට යන්න ගොඩාක් කැපිලි කෙඩලි තියෙනවා. ඒකත් ඉතින් බොහොම අමාරුවෙන් කට්ට කාගෙන තමයි මේ නගර සභාව කියන එකට ආවේ. මේ ක්‍රමේ වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. කාන්තාවට බොහොම තැන දෙනම අඩුයි. ඒක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක අපි විසින් හදාගෙන දැන් මම ඒ මගේ හයියෙන් එතනට ආවා. නමුත් අනිත් අයට බොහොම අමාරුයි. මම දකිනවා කාන්තාව කීප දෙනෙක් මේ ආසනය තුල දඟලනවා මෙතනට එන්න. නමුත් එහෙම දෙන්නේ නැහැ එන්න.
Since Sri Lanka introduced the universal franchise in 1931, the number of women in parliament has never crossed a threshold of 7%. Today, they are just 5.3% of its 225 members and historically held only a fraction of cabinet positions.
Sri Lankan political party structure, political space is patriarchal dominated, and we have not been able to find a way out of that dominance.
Women's representation in grassroots governance in Sri Lanka has never crossed 23% despite the spur of a 2016 quota. A similar quota designed to boost their representation at the provincial level beyond the current 5% has been gridlocked in parliament for more than 2 years.
Even the electoral system, if you look at the manner in which you have to spend money, preferential voting system, the struggles to get your nomination, all that decision making is in the hands of men. Money is in the hands of men. Access to resources are controlled by male business elite.
This situation highlights the barriers women encounter, including cultural norms, political biases, and systematic obstacles that hinder their advancements in leadership roles. As the country navigates its current challenges, the need for diverse voices in leadership becomes even more critical for sustainable development and inclusive governance. Time now for Asia This Week, the stories from across the continent.
The people of Tehran expressed their solidarity with Lebanon after a series of mobile device explosions killed 12 and injured thousands. On September 18, a memorial was held outside the Lebanese embassy in Iran to honor the victims. Simultaneous explosions targeting Hezbollah's communication devices in southern Lebanon, Beirut, and eastern Lebanon are suspected to be Israeli cyber attacks, raising concerns about the growing threat of electronic warfare in the region. Hezbollah and Israel have been engaged in cross-border warfare since the Gaza conflict erupted last October, fueling fears of a wider Middle East conflict that could drag in the United States and Iran. North Korea fired multiple short-range ballistic missiles on September 18, South Korea and Japan said days after it unveiled a uranium enrichment facility and vowed to beef up its nuclear arsenal. The missiles lifted off from Kechon, north of the capital Pyongyang, in the northeastern direction, South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said, without specifying how many were fired.
북한이 어제 탄도 미사일과 순항 미사일을 발사하였고 그 탄착 지점은 함경북도 산악 지역으로 평가하고 있습니다.
Building on the successful foundation of the Lok Sabha elections 2024, peaceful and enthusiastic voting marked the beginning of assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir. Voters from all sections of society responded to the call of democracy wholeheartedly. Long queues of voters at the polling stations showcased the entire world the deep trust and confidence of the people of Jammu and Kashmir in the democratic exercise. A total of 219 candidates were in the electoral fray in the first phase, of which 9 were women candidates. Young and women voters shone bright at the polling stations, a testament to the deepening and embrace of democracy in Jammu and Kashmir. Disaster drills were conducted in central Taiwan on September 19, involving soldiers, firefighters, and emergency responders. The drills come close to the 25th anniversary of the Gigi earthquake, the second deadliest in Taiwan's recorded history, resulting in 2,415 deaths and 11,305 injuries. Mock victims could be seen carried onto ambulances on stretchers and being tended to in emergency tents. Director General of the Chiayi County Fire Bureau, Sai Chin-en, highlighted the importance of these drills, noting the improvements in coordination and equipment since the Gigi earthquake.
我们今年921这个演习啊，就针对我们整个大规模灾害的时候结合国外的团队跟我们内政部消防署，还有各地区的搜救队来负责这个演练。那目前来看的部分，就是我们 DMAT 的训练，就是有我们在野战当中，或是在大规模灾害中的这个医疗的救助。
The drills also featured firefighting efforts at a local plastics factory, featuring advanced equipment including a fire extinguisher robot, showcasing the integrated preparedness of Taiwan's disaster relief forces.
In Geneva, Baloch activists organized a compelling photo exhibition and demonstration to spotlight human rights violations in Balochistan by Pakistan. They called for international attention to the alarming issues of enforced disappearances and repression. The activists condemned projects like the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, arguing that such initiatives exploit the Baloch people and deepen local grievances. The protesters underscored the urgent need for accountability and recognition for Baloch rights, insisting that the international community must not overlook the plight of the Baloch in their struggle for justice and dignity.
The members of the Baloch National Movement organized a powerful photo exhibition and demonstration outside the UN office in Geneva, coinciding with the 57th session of the UN Human Rights Council. The activists aimed to draw attention to the ongoing atrocities in Balochistan, urging the United Nations to take a stand against the pervasive human rights violations in the region, particularly the alarming issues of enforced disappearances. The demonstrators passionately rejected exploitative foreign initiatives such as the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, arguing that these projects have only served to occupiers and exploit the indigenous Baloch people. Their message was clear: the international community must not turn a blind eye to the suffering in Balochistan. The protesters in Geneva were joined by human rights defenders from around the globe.
Pakistan must be held accountable. The West must cease all military aid to Pakistan because those weapons are being diverted to suppress the people of Balochistan. the Commonwealth must suspend Pakistan. It is violating the Commonwealth Charter and the human rights principles that the Commonwealth espouses.
Activists alleged that the Pakistani army and intelligence agencies employ torture and abductions as tactics to instill fear and maintain control over the Baloch people who have long been advocating for independence from Pakistan's occupation. They claimed that the Baloch have been the targets of military operations, ethnic stereotyping and abductions by the Pakistani state, all while their natural resources continued to be exploited.
I think one thing that Pakistan needs to understand, they cannot continue the way things are. More violence will generate more resistance, and the state persecution makes them more resilient. So the Balochistan issue is not complicated, it's very basic. They're asking for some basic things, which includes human rights, basic human dignity, and demand that the Baloch rights are recognized and respected.
Human rights violations in Balochistan have been a significant concern, particularly in the context of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Many Baloch activists and political leaders argue that CPEC, while promising economic development, exacerbates local grievances by prioritizing outside interest over the rights and needs of the local population. The influx of investment and infrastructure development under CPEC have often been met with resistance from local communities who feel marginalized. The local Baloch people claim that the benefits of these projects do not reach them and that their land and resources are being exploited without adequate compensation or consultation.
And now let's move to Kathmandu, where the Kumari Puja honors prepubescent girls dressed as the living goddess Kumari in a vibrant annual ritual. Recently, on the occasion, families gathered at the Taleju Bhavani temple to pray for the girls' health and well-being, a tradition deeply rooted in Nepalese culture. This event not only celebrates youth but also preserves the legacy of the Kumari, a living goddess chosen through a rigorous selection process. Take a look. A large number of prepubescent girls, adorned in elaborate attire resembling the living goddess Kumari, sat in a row according to their assigned numbers to be worshipped, a practice believed to ward off bad luck and disease. This annual event, known as Kumari Puja, takes place in front of the Taleju Bhavani temple in Kathmandu, where Newari girls perform rituals to honor the goddess who represents divine feminine energy. The living goddess Kumari is considered an elderly incarnation of goddess Durga.
कुमारी पूजा चाहिँ यस्तो कि हाम्रो नानीहरुलाई चाहिँ राम्रो होस् भनेर हरेक वर्ष हुन्छ नै अब बच्चाहरुको एकदम दीर्घ आयुको लागि एकदम राम्रो होस् भन्नको लागि हो अब यो कुमारी पूजा गर्यो भने बच्चाले एकदम धेरै राम्रो हुन्छ बच्चाले एकदम स्वस्थ हुन्छ भनेर
The Kanyas or girls participating in this annual procession are brought to the Taleju Bhavani temple, one of Nepal's Shakti Peeth, which is only open for one day during the Shayan. As part of the ritual, these girls are led around the temple dedicated to Taleju Bhavani, a Hindu deity whose face has been concealed from the public for centuries. The worship of the girls in the procession involves three approaches of Hinduism, Buddhism and Tantrism. It is believed that girls who participate in this ritual will be protected from health problems.
उहाँहरु सधैँभरि कुमारी बन्न नसके तापनि आज एक दिनको लागि पनि कुमारी भनेर उहाँलाई पुकारोस् भनेर र उहाँहरु भित्र गर्दाखेरि उहाँहरुलाई कुनै पनि रोग व्याधि नहोस् भनेर चाहिँ हामीले कुमारी पूजा गरेका हौं र यो कुमारी पूजा गर्नाले चाहिँ डोरो फाइदा छ यो कुमारी पूजा गर्दाखेरि कुन कुन चिन्ता विधिले हुन्छ हाम्रो बौद्धिक हिन्दू तान्त्रिक पूजा हिन्दू पूजा अनि वज्रयान पूजा वज्रयान भन्ने गुरुजुले गर्छ त्यही क्रममा चाहिँ तान्त्रिक पूजा भनेर कर्मचारीले गर्ने हो र हाम्रो यो बौद्धिक पूजा भनेर ब्राह्मणले गर्ने हो कुनै पनि यो कुमारीको पूजा गर्नु पर्दाखेरि तीन विधिले पूजा हुनुपर्छ र तीन विधि अनुसारको यो कुमारी पूजा चाहिँ भएको हो
Nepal has a remarkable tradition of worshipping the Kumari, a living goddess selected through a rigorous process. This role is filled by a young Neva girl from Shakya caste, often as young as 4 years old, who is believed to embody the goddess Taleju, the tutelary deity of the Malla and Shah dynasties. The selection process is strict. Candidates must be free from any physical blemishes and must demonstrate calmness under intense scrutiny even during frightening tests. Once chosen, the Kumari resides in the Kumari Ghar and is prohibited from touching the ground. She only leaves her residence during specific festivals. The Kumari Puja beautifully reflects Nepal's traditions and community devotion for well-being of young girls. And with that, we come to the end of this week's episode. See you next week. Goodbye and take care.